Thanks for joining us this week on Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee. Join your hosts Chris Marriott and Paul Schreiner each week as they talk email marketing, life, purpose, faith, but mainly email marketing. If you're looking for some normalcy in these crazy times, you've come to the right place.
Welcome back to Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee. As always, I'm with my colleague and friend, Chris Marriott. Chris, great to have you.
Great. Don't worry, to get started without me. I know we adhere to a very strict schedule here, but it is good to be back here. Hopefully there was nothing back there. No, that's just my room.
No, you're good. You're good.
There's my bobblehead meat right there.
Yep. No, it's good to be back, and I will call this our holiday episode.
Then I should have been more festive.
Right.
I thought we might get one more in before Christmas, maybe not.
I think we should. Yeah, let's try. You know what I mean? I know.
Yeah,
I know
maybe we can interview Santa.
Ooh, actually, that'd be fantastic.
I know.
Or if we could get Santa
on anybody else's podcast.
That'd be really good. Hey, let's get started on the episode.
Yeah.
Want to thank our sponsors, as always, Audience Point. Thank you for the time you allocate, the resources you allocate in the time from producer David Inman. Appreciate that time there. Want to, just the stuff we're doing at Audience Point continues to amaze me. I've been tweeting about it lately, just the power of team, right? When the team's working together, we're accomplishing things unlike I've ever seen before, where, new metrics rolling out all the time, getting great feedback from customers, growing, businesses growing. It feels like, we're hitting those strides we've always wanted to. So it feels really, really good. Anyway, thanks Audience Point for this.
Oh, sorry. I've been on a long time.
Was I talking too long that I put you to sleep there, Chris?
Just a little doze. And also want to thank our junior sponsor, Email Connect,
Junior,
the
that's
premier
not the right word.
Global boutique consulting firm around vendor selection in the email marketing space. So thank you, Email Connect, for your support as well. I'd like to thank the suits in particular at both organizations.
Yeah, honestly, the foresight they saw to allow us to do this is unbelievable.
Genius.
Right.
So we got a great show for you today. Very excited for this one. A lot of fun. Guests, a lot of fun. And I don't know if we should keep you any longer from that fun, Paul.
All right. Yeah, let's see you on the other side. We'll
see you on the other side with fan favorite producer, David.
All right. Welcome to Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee.
We're back.
We have a friend of the pod, friend of the show with us today, Jared Loftus. And Jared, I'm probably going to get all of these things wrong. And I even in my notes about you wrote things down wrong. So, and which says a lot about me.
That's part of the show, right? You just kind of keep me on my toes.
Right. Things that Paul does wrong, I think might be what we should call it. So Jared's the COO, I believe. Is that the right title? That's what LinkedIn
correct.
said.
Whatever you want to call it.
Okay. At rasa.io, which is an email. It's a very unique take on email marketing, and we'll I'm sure have a chance to get into it sometime during the show. So he's kind of leading that charge there. Before that, he was at Master Prep, which I believe is some sort of test something, and then before that was at a place called Tiger District, but I thought it said Tiger Direct. And
that's probably a mistake.
Right. No, and all of a sudden I was cast back in time to like my freshman year of college. Where do you remember Tiger Direct? Not Tiger Beat, which is
totally.
Tiger Direct. It had all of
all
you can buy Adobe Photoshop and Jazz Paint Shop Pro and all these different things, and you're like, I want this, and I would circle things, and I was like, wait, he's a founder at Tiger Direct? No,
sorry,
Tiger District,
different Tiger D. Yeah.
So anyway, great to have you on the show, Jared.
Another thorough homework job by Paul Schreiner.
I feel like everyone knows exactly what they need to know about me, so I don't even know why we have to discuss the past.
Is there any chance it was Tiger Direct by chance?
No chance. I wish. I would get that mistake a lot, especially at conferences where people are just like, always surveying the name tags to see who they need to talk to. And every now and then they would glance really quick and be like, wait, Tiger Direct, I've been trying to get in touch with you. Tell me more about, and I'm like, whoa, back up. I'm not
my 19-year-old self.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, much as I like talking about some obscure magazine that was never on my radar, or catalog, I guess.
Yeah, I would to call it a magazine. It was a catalog to sell me things.
Catalog, right? Well, anyway, I think we ought to do a round of what we're drinking, and start with our guest, Jared.
Yeah.
I'm actually drinking some French Truck coffee. It's a New Orleans brand. It's my favorite coffee down here. That's what I'm drinking.
Excellent. French Truck coffee. I'm writing that down because I like local brews. Cool. I've got a Spindrift sparkling water. It's the Starbucks version of Ugly Drinks, Ugly Hugh's stuff. And so I feel.
Oh, you mean our former guest?
Yes.
Ugly Hugh?
That's right.
And I still, because I'm loyal to our guests, apparently only one of us are, I'm still ordering direct from his website, though it is available now in CVS stores nationwide. So if you're a fan of Ugly, or want to just try a drink that you've seen me enjoying quite often on the program, go into your local CVS. Might be hard to find, but it's there.
It is there.
And I'm drinking the Dr. Ugly, which is their version of Dr. Pepper, and it's very delicious and refreshing. So we're obviously now, our astute fans are going to say Paul and Chris are drinking water, so they're not recording this in the morning. And you're right, we're not.
That is right. Being old now, all of a sudden I wake up at night in the afternoon when I have coffee. Well, Jared, great to have you on the show. Love to hear more about Rasa. We can start there. We can start somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're not starting about the computer wholesaling business with send out catalogs, because I can't speak to that.
I want to get some filters for Photoshop, and I was hoping you could hook me up.
Yeah, let's talk about email instead. How about that?
No, fine.
That sounds better to me.
Okay. So tell us about Rasa. I'm a big fan. I don't want to make this a commercial about Rasa, but at the same time, tell us about Rasa.
Yeah, so Rasa is a platform that helps you get out a regular email newsletter on a probably more regular basis, or at the very least an easier basis. And what we do is choose the content that goes into the email per subscriber using artificial intelligence. So basically each individual subscriber for your newsletter gets kind of this customized content experience, what we kind of refer to as content relationship automation, basically helping you form a relationship with your audience on an individual basis through the content that you share with them.
There you go. That was a quick and very succinct story. And what I love about what it is when we're talking about the funnel, so often we as marketers put so much emphasis on new customer acquisition, new customers, that we sometimes lose track of retention, right? And I think your guys' technology is perfect for retention, right? Because it's that ongoing drumbeat, personalized content, etc.
Totally. So and we look at it, so definitely on retention, but also for maybe more on the nurture side of things, where maybe somebody is interested enough in what you're doing to give you their email address, but maybe they're not a customer yet, right? And so maybe they're just kind of poking around and want to know more about you. And this is a way for you to be able to do that in really a non-salesy way. So many emails that go out are very much call to action, click here to buy, and this is not that. I mean, you could insert that into the newsletter, but it's more about sending your audience content that would be helpful or interesting to them.
So totally get it. Totally get the dream, all of the things. I do have a couple questions, and not meant to be gotcha at all, but I'm curious. Like, one of the things I've discovered at least in the email space, it's really easy to get, I don't want to say easy, but it's easier to get money from a customer around new customer acquisition or even driving revenue, right? When you can put a flag in the sand and say, look, I was able to increase, revenue off of this last email by 40%. Look how amazing that is. Or, hey, we were able to generate, 35 new email addresses based off of this campaign. You've got sort of equations where you can do lifetime value. Anytime you're sort of in the retention or nurture space, it's a lot harder to get dollars. I mean, have you guys run into that? How do you guys handle that? What's that like? Because I think every email marketer I know loves the concept of retention and nurture, but I don't have budget for that.
Totally. So I think what it ends up being is it's less about budget for that and more about time for that. It's not an urgent need, right? You need to drive revenue. You need to get something today. Most of our customers are in positions to where they're, this is going to sound terrible for the folks that aren't doing it, but wanting to do the right thing by just staying in touch without trying to sell. And not everybody's there, right? Not everybody's there. So is that a terrible thing for me to say? All these people that are
you're not wrong.
No.
Look, we're in a world now with the things happening with Apple where you don't get to use open rates as the reason to be. You've got all of these things that are trying to go after people's attention. At the same time, I feel like there's a little bit of a social fatigue. People are hearing all these things about Facebook and Instagram and all the different social avenues where I think people are kind of like backing away, some slowly, some quickly from that space. And now here's a place where you can share content and share a message with people on a one-to-one basis, as opposed to one-to-many where everybody's hearing the same thing from you.
Right.
And I think you've got to be in that space to do that. So you are right. I don't want to say it'd be easier because I haven't done that, but I think there are more people quickly going to call to action, that kind of email. It'd be easier to sell. We've got to, there's a little, is that somebody calling you asking about my newsletter already?
That's exactly what it was. That was exactly what it was.
How real-time live this podcast is.
Right.
So I can't speak to selling it in another way because we don't do that.
Right.
I do know that it takes people a little while to noodle on this idea before they can pull the trigger.
Right.
Well, I think a lot of it depends upon the mindset of the brand or marketer you're talking to, because
100%.
I did a webinar or podcast or for Webula with Delaquist recently, who's a very opinionated person, and we talked a lot about how email the idea is to broaden what you think email can do, and part of that is it's not always a direct marketing tool, which is Paul's favorite, where it's buy now or click here, but also you can think of it as a branding tool, or as you said, a nurturing tool where if it's selling something that I don't buy every week or every other week, the point of it for a newsletter in my mind would be just so you're top of mind, you stay top of mind. So when I go out and buy it, I think of you first. And I think there's a great value there. And I also see it's just sort of an impression. And anytime an email lands in your inbox, and if you look at it, if you read it, that's a great impression. If you look at it and delete it, that's still an impression. That there's things email can do to aid a brand. To Paul's point, it's not, you can't point here and say I did that result necessarily in real time, but you can also look at it. Nobody would run TV commercials if we're looking at the instant spike of sales. They're looking at long term. How's my brand perception, awareness growing and brand perception growing? So
I want to focus more on this whole Paul is right thing, because you both have brought this up in like the last 5 minutes, and I think I questioned if you were right. I'm not sure I was a ringing endorsement of Paul's approach to email marketing. No, and honestly, it shouldn't be. No one should. But you did bring something up, Jared, that I thought was interesting. And honestly, we've had conversations with other guests, Vivek from Movable Ink, around Apple's MPP technology.
Now Paul's name dropping.
Oh, really ugly Hugh. Anyway, the point is,
I'm just hoping he'll send me a free case at some point because I'm dropping so much money into his pocket. But anyway, go ahead.
You know, all of us, like, he'll send you one can, Chris, for the amount of business we've driven his way. Anyway, the point is, MPP, you brought that up, and kind of as a way to say, like, things are in flux, and as such, you know, people are looking for something new. I'd like to tease that out a little bit more, right? Like, what impact is, what do you think, Jared? How is that going to impact email?
I think we're still figuring that out. I think, you know, I've just since that's come out, I've already seen a few different vendors with offerings out there of how to either get around that or kind of, you know, predict what your open rate is if that was there, that kind of thing. I think that, you know, it's such a vanity metric that's easy to look at. And I think what it'll do, or hopefully, I think it makes you start to look at your other metrics of, you know, what would you rather? A bunch of people open it and then never engage? They didn't read, they didn't click, they didn't do anything? Or would you rather increase the number of people that are actually engaging and showing you that, like, what you've sent them is interesting or relevant or valuable to them? So I think it'll be a while. I know this world can move quickly, but also, you know, Chris's point, we're talking about mindset and who's on the other end of making those decisions around email and really just branding in general and their communications. And so what is it that they're wanting to focus on? What is it that they're trying to do with their brand?
Right. So I'm curious, and this is a hypothetical question, Jared. Hear me. Hypothetically, say hypothetically, I had an algorithm that figured out what people wanted to read based on their engagement with previous things I've read, what I've opened on and what I've clicked. How much would the Apple, again, hypothetically, how much would the Apple MPP technology impact? Because I know a lot of marketers that it's impacted a great deal.
How much would that impact if that were the case?
Yeah, if I had a technology that used AI to figure out what kind of content articles should be delivered to my inbox, and now all of a sudden I'm opening an awful lot, is that going to impact my my content being delivered?
So hypothetically speaking, I believe that it's the engagement that's going to drive the content, right? So just opening an email isn't really going to affect how that algorithm changes, because the engagement with the content is more of what would drive that.
So opens aren't engagement?
They're engagement, but
boom. Paul, you're so shot down. Those algorithms work on the content I engage with on the website, which Apple's changed nothing.
Correct.
As well as the content I click on in the newsletter,
and
which
Apple's
changed nothing.
Yeah, Apple,
so you know
Apple
what?
Clicks.
I don't even like this line of questioning. Okay.
I object.
Let's get off of this line of questioning. I want to ask you something, which is, how is your newsletter focused ESP different from an ESP that can send newsletters and automated emails and promotional email? I mean, what features or functionality have been built into your platform for you to be able to say, listen, do all your other email stuff with these guys, but if you have a newsletter, you need to use us, and here's why. So give our listeners a reason to buy.
Right. Spoiler alert. That wasn't a hypothetical situation before. Yeah. I know. First time listeners, stay tuned.
Wow. You never know what's going to happen on the show.
So the way that individualized content experience is going to happen is because it's based on how an individual engages with each newsletter. So let's say that we put, you've got 100,000 email list, and day one we start sending email. The email is going to basically be a random assortment of whatever content you've said is allowed into the newsletter. And by random assortment, I mean your newsletter contains 10 articles in it normally. You've put 100 articles in there for consideration. Our platform is going to choose which 10 go to each person. That first send, it's going to be basically random based on some rules that you've set. And then from there, after first send, we'll start to look at, okay, what people have clicked on, what they've engaged with, and then that will affect their content recommendations moving forward. So we're always trying to push people towards things that they are interested in so that we can know more and make better recommendations. But at the same time, always leaving some room for basically serendipity to come in, where we're able to put some content in there that we didn't know you would like, but we would never know anything new if all we did was kind of the early days Facebook approach of only sending you what you've thumbs up. Does that make sense? So, and then what happens is if you've got 100,000 emails or 100,000 people on your list, we literally create 100,000 individual emails for you that then go out, and each person is going to get a customized content experience.
And is it bring your own content, BYOC, or do you also having relationships with third parties that can provide somewhat generic content that might be of interest?
So let's say that let's say that we were sending out a marketing newsletter, right? You've got this list of emails that are all interested in current marketing news. What we would do is put, and I say we, the platform does this. You have total control over all of it. You'd go in, you'd put in the sources. You're probably going to put your content in from your website, right? But then there's other places that people are going for marketing news that we could pull those sources in. And then as they update their content, it's going to automatically pull in just basically from an RSS feed. But then you could also put individual articles in there if you wanted. And so this is one, you talk about a mindset. This is a mindset that's probably most difficult to get around for marketers, because most people doing marketing are focused on driving traffic back to themselves. Why would you want to send traffic anywhere else? And we kind of flipped that on its head by saying, hey, look, send them your content. We're not saying that your content isn't valuable, but most likely there's other valuable content out in the world. And if we can make it so that the relevant content goes to the right people, then how great would it be if you could send them what's relevant to them, even if it sends them somewhere else? And most people are just like, why would I want to send them to another website? Well, because what happens is a couple of things. You're the person that made them aware of that. So you kind of get that goodwill by sending them to the third party or external site for content. But two, the data and reporting that we have inside the platform is going to start to pick up on the fact that that's content they're interested in, even though it may not have come from you. So then you can start to assess and make decisions based off of that.
Sure. I think it absolutely fills an interesting niche. I think the uphill battle is getting people to take medicine when they don't want to. This is the right thing for you. It's the healthiest thing for you. But so, I totally get that. I think that's a climb. I am also curious. You guys are headquartered in New Orleans, Louisiana, right?
That hotbed of email marketing.
Right. Honestly, like when I think
of email marketing and tech entrepreneurship.
Right. I mean, both of those two things converge, I think, on New Orleans.
Exactly.
How hard is it?
First place I think of when I think about email innovation.
Talk about, because I think there probably are some listeners, watchers that are kind of thinking like, I live in Podunk nowhere and I'd like to start a business in email or whatever. What is it like running that out of New Orleans?
Yeah. So, crazy enough. So pre-COVID, 100% all in New Orleans. Everybody on the team was in New Orleans. We're all working from home now. And so it's allowed us to kind of distribute out a little bit further. So people that were in New Orleans that have moved home or people that just live elsewhere have become more possible for the company. But all in all, in today's world, I don't care what kind of business you're starting, especially online. Doesn't matter. I grew up in rural Mississippi, so I know all about being from a small place where there may not be a massive talent pool. But I think we live in a world where there's a lot of ways around that now. So
Right. Right. Well,
your access to talent shouldn't be the impediment.
right. Right. So you have distributed.
Well, and folks, please don't misconstrue Paul's unintended association of Podunk, Nowheresville, and New Orleans. We like New Orleans. We don't send the emails to producer Paul complaining that Paul, to producer David, complaining that Paul was bad-mouthing New Orleans. That was inadvertent, I assure you. I think Paul likes New Orleans and does not think of it as Podunk, USA.
That's right. That is
definitely not Podunk. We actually just had 2 big tech exits in the last month of $1 billion and $500 million. So we're not on Podunkville radar.
We're big fans. The show is big fans of New Orleans.
That's fair. I've got some questions coming in from some of our listeners.
Oh yeah.
The first one here says, can you get us a discount on Quark Express?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
You know what? I'm sorry, David. That's Tiger Direct again. I'm sorry for him. Another question for you. Voodoo, New Orleans and Voodoo. What?
We had to cancel Voodoo Fest. Voodoo Fest would have been yesterday. So
was it? Okay.
Depends on which voodoo you're talking. There's a lot of voodoo in New Orleans, so it depends on which voodoo you're talking about.
Wait, there's more than one? What does that even mean?
What's that?
What is there more than one? There's more than one voodoo?
There's Voodoo Fest. There's like the voodoo people can do on you. There's all kinds of voodoo. So like it's a proper noun.
Okay, that's fair. And I don't know a lot about voodoo. I will say
voodoo barbecue. I can name any. If you Google voodoo, there's in New Orleans, that's the name of a lot of things.
Okay.
I think that's a topic best avoided on the program for a number of reasons I won't go into. But
I don't understand.
Being from New Orleans, we should incorporate that into our explanation of how the email works when people ask about the AI. Like, wait, how does the AI work? And we just go, it's voodoo, man.
Yeah, and you don't want to talk about voodoo. So that's not. I got a question as well. Notice Paul and I have the same size paper, so it's wow, clearly.
You're not even in the same room.
Coming from the same
physical notes. How does this happen?
They're coming from the same. Yeah, producer David's handing me some as well. This one is Jared. Do you and Chris get your glasses at the same store? No, we don't. They look, yes, folks, they do look very similar.
You do.
They do look very similar, but no, I get mine at a store in Libertyville, Illinois. So no, we do not. But we clearly have similar taste in eyewear. So
are those blue light glasses, or are they actual like optical for vision?
They're just for making my eyes be able to read.
Okay. All right.
All right. I have another question for you, Jared.
Okay.
Also from David Inman here, producer David. Jared, the question is, what is Chris's take on Paul's new minimalist background? What do you think Chris's take is?
Chris's take on Paul's minimalist background. I think he likes when you back up as far from the camera as possible, because then, speaking of voodoo, that's one of the things that happens where they shrink your head really small. So it kind of is full circle right here on your background.
Right. That's fair. So Chris does not like the minimalist background. Okay. Chris, is that accurate?
Yeah, that is accurate. That's very accurate. Jared did a great job.
Where are you on like fake background versus real Zoom background?
That's a good question.
We went through that phase. We went through a phase on the program, and we sort of stopped. So I'm not sure we're big fanboys of fake backgrounds any longer.
I don't know that I have a huge problem with them, Chris. You know what I mean?
I don't have a buy it.
You don't. I don't know why you would have a problem with that.
Right. Right.
I don't know why everybody can seem to do that so quickly and I can't. And I find that very irritating.
You know, what's interesting to me, I feel like the Zoom background or whatever background is necessary, because if you go back and forth between Zoom or is it Microsoft Teams or Google
Teams.
Hangout,
Yep.
same camera can have different pan as far as angle. And
Right.
so like I've cleaned up this room to be clean right here.
This slice.
If this thing zooms out any wider, the gig is up and you know what's going on, right? So that's where the background can help.
Confession time, Jared. Rasa, you guys did go virtual. I mean, you essentially stopped going to the office during COVID Central. And I know it's not easing up everywhere, but I think in general, things are easing up a little bit, which is nice. Confession time. How many calls would you say in a month you took without pants on?
Oh, without pants. You know, I've never played the no pants. It's always been like in, you know, like shorts or sweatpants. I feel like I would still know, and that would mess things up for me. So I can't do that.
Okay, got it.
I'm at 0. Confession time, I'm at 0. I haven't done it.
I think Paul's probably at 0. He likes to come across as a guy that
Power in this thing isn't working.
I was gonna say, I was afraid that this is where he was gonna like pan down and so I'm glad to see that's not the case.
No,
it's a family program.
My power supply was having a fit, so it's going away.
You gotta plug it in for it to work.
Actually, that makes a ton of sense. What does Rasa mean, Jared?
Rasa, I'll send you a blog post on that. It was a 4-letter domain that we were able to pick up.
That's it?
I was hoping it had something to do with a Latin phrase I throw around frequently to show how intelligent I am, tabula rasa.
Well, I was going to say there's the tabula rasa of like blank slate. And so we start from a blank slate and then get your engagement and it goes from there. Or in Sanskrit, it means the essence. So we could say it's the essence of email. Okay. Whichever one of those stories you'd like to buy the most.
So I get the URL thing. When I started my company, now called
Marketing
Email Connect, it was originally called Marketing Democracy, and I called it that because I owned the URL and I had very short turnaround to get my company up and running. So I get and then I had to come up with some convoluted logic behind why I called an email company that does what I do, Marketing Democracy. And then I got sued by the other Marketing Democracy as fans of the show know, and changed my name to something that actually makes much more sense. So I get it. So maybe one day Rasa will become the best email newsletter platform.com.
I mean, that's what it means anyway.
That's probably the goal.
Right. I mean,
what do you
ask a bunch of marketers what the meaning behind something is and believe them like 100% anyway?
I mean, there is that. Now, I'm curious, Jared, where's Rasa going? Where is the email industry going? I certainly know there's been a little bit of a flex with Apple MPP, but I'm curious what your take is on that.
There is. I mean, so we are an email tool. Like we've got a platform that helps you with email, but we're not all email, right? So while there's the trends in the email world, I think some of them apply and some of them don't. I mean, we're squarely in newsletters, right?
Right.
Newsletters have kind of had a resurgence in the last.
People love the newsletters.
2-3 years. Yeah. I'd like to say that was on purpose. Like we saw that coming. We
kids at high school running around talking about their newsletters. They're stoked. You're right.
It's crazy. So you have things like Substack and other things out there. A lot of these journalists that are leaving their publications and going off on their own, and they support a full-time salary and then some on their own newsletter, right? So I think it does depend on what you're talking about. Everybody is like, why email, man? Like I thought you were trying to do something high tech. You're doing like the oldest tech in the world.
Right.
We like to think of it that we've taken AI, a cutting edge technology with a really old technology and put them together, because it still doesn't look like email's going anywhere. As much as we may change it, as much as privacy may be more part of it. We don't get to know all of these different things. I still don't think that means it goes away. I just think that we have to get better at how we do it and how we measure those things. And so I'm still bullish on email as a whole.
Sure. I've got another question here.
Another note.
David Inman. And he was talking, you were talking about bringing some new life to some older tech. He wants to know if you could apply the same AI algorithm to like carrier pigeons. Is that
carrier pigeons? So would that be a matter of like where the pigeon poops on your property could be determined by AI?
Well, now it's confession time for me. As a child, I raised pigeons, as you probably already know.
Fans of the show will not be shocked by that revelation.
In 5th grade, I saved my money to go to the hardware store, to Kitsap Lumber in Bremerton, Washington, and buy enough hardware to build my own pigeon coop. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And so I had an entire coop full of pigeons, which again, you're probably not, listeners probably not all that surprised.
No.
But the carrier pigeons, what's really fascinating about them is you can take them anywhere and they know how to return home. And so what they would do is they would take them.
You can't do that with a cat.
What's
you
that?
Can't do that with a cat or dog even.
A carrier cat. We can talk about that too, Chris, but they would take these pigeons and they would have a message and then they would, take it somewhere else, let it go. And then the message would come home and they'd be able to say, oh, hey, here's personalized content for me about, my newsletter or whatever. But so, to that point, both carrier pigeons, but also maybe the idea of carrier cats and carrier dogs, where you could release them and they could bring messages back. Thank you, David, for this line of questioning, by the way.
I think it's spot on messaging. For me, when I think of pigeons, I don't really think of their messaging capabilities as much as I just read about this last week. Their nest that they build. Have you seen this about the nest that they build?
No.
Oh my goodness. So this was like something I was.
I love that we have a screen share.
I've already got it pulled up. So it's still trying to load. So I'm gonna blow it.
No, I see this.
No, I got it.
So pigeon nests only are like sticks thrown together. So all the other birds of the world have these ornate nests.
Yeah.
And pigeons just like throw some straw on the ground and that's a pigeon's nest.
Making mockery of other birds, right? And we put so much value on their messaging ability. What about those nests?
Yeah, I think we should, so not to interfere, but I just think that the AI should be applied to their nests, not their messaging.
The penmanship required to take a tiny piece of paper, probably no bigger than this.
Right.
You write all this content on it, you wrap it around their leg,
right,
and then you have to tie it. I mean, the skill required to do that probably is a lost art in many ways, shape, and form.
And I'm wondering if it will scale.
The two of you, the person that's handing y'all these questions from audience, that person obviously knows that fine art.
Well, and I'm wondering if it will scale for Rasa. I mean, because I'm assuming, the coop that I had as a child will pale in comparison. Because like for a distribution list of, say, I don't know, 500,000. I mean, is that a normal size list for you? You've got 500,000 recipients. You've got to have a huge coop of pigeons, 500,000 pigeons.
Yeah, we cap audience size at 1 million. We haven't been able to figure out how to corral more than 1 million pigeons.
Glad to see your technical limitations.
I don't. Well, 1 million at one time. We can, if people are willing to distribute throughout the day, then we can do it differently.
Well, and how would a pigeon bounce?
If there was only something that could tell us when to release the pigeons.
Oh, there it is.
If there was something that we could add to our tech,
right? If only there.
That said, not even just go with a custom message. No. Go at the right time, pigeon. Go at the right time.
Well played, Jared. Well played indeed. I think we can help you with that, actually.
Okay.
What we'll do is we'll trigger, and again, the logistics of the operation is really remarkable. But we could absolutely trigger those pigeons. I'm thinking through some sort of electrical impulse to create them to fly at a certain time.
I like it.
So back to Rasa.
I thought that's what we were talking about.
So in a world where where ESPs find it very difficult to differentiate between one another, and where ESPs that formerly said we do this one thing, we do it well, are now trying to say, well, in fact, we're a full service ESP. Rasa, you're kind of going off again on a, we're a specific size ESP for a specific type of email, and we're in this niche. So when you're out in the marketplace, you're competing or pitching, do you find yourself, are there other newsletter niche ESPs that I haven't heard of that you're pitching against, or are you going
And before
against
you start, I just want you to know we hate those guys unless they're willing to sponsor the podcast, in which case we'll see you next week.
Right. Well, money buys.
I think you should check their views on pigeons first as well.
So are you pitching we're niche, and as niche we do it better if newsletter is your jam, or who are you going up against, and how are you competing?
So we're not really going up against anyone that's doing something the same as this. Even similarly, we haven't found anybody. It may be an easier message if more people were talking about it, but to your point, most of the folks in the email space are going wider, not deeper, and they're now like just a marketing automation platform and do all types of email. I think we've gone the direction of saying, look, we're going to really help you with your newsletter. Not your drip campaign, not your call to actions, not your like salesy emails, not your cold outreach emails, like all these other forms of email. We're going to help you with your newsletter, right? Because there's enough going on to focus on that. I think people now, the market probably gets confused because there's a lot of people that do a newsletter, but most of those, when you look into them further, it's the same content going to everybody, and really all they did was help you place articles in a an easy way.
Right.
So this really is about, we do a lot of work with associations, so membership bodies that they are kind of the go-to as it pertains to industry news for whatever industry it is. And so they'll send newsletters to their membership. And so we have quite a few association customers that's what they're using to basically keep their membership informed.
Yep, that makes sense. It just, what I see oftentimes brands trying to do is consolidate when they look around at ESPs. They got one platform doing marketing automation, they got another platform doing promotional. So it just feels like you're kind of swimming upstream a little bit. But when I hear you, and I think you might be, honestly, if you were trying to go against, like the retail vertical in specific, I think you might be swimming upstream a little bit, though correct me if you think I'm wrong, but where you're talking to a marketplace like associations where that's sort of their reason for being in doing email at all, is those newsletters. That to me seems like it's a compelling story.
It's that, so you're not that wrong. I mean, it is back to your point of it's the mindset, and really you use the term top of mind. If you're in a business where you need to be top of mind to keep going, but there's a long period. So a great example is in the real estate world. If you're a real estate agent and you sell somebody a house, most likely you want to sell them a house again in 5 to 7 years, whatever the average is for the next house purchase. You can't keep sending that person home listings, right? You just sold them a home. So you have to have something else that allows you to stay in touch with them regularly, so you're not forgotten, so that you'll remember to refer them to your neighbor, and so you'll go to them to buy your next house. Well, this is something for somebody like that maybe they don't create a lot of their own content. Maybe they don't have a whole email marketing team on hand. This would be something that allows them to drop something in the inbox that's worth actually opening, because it's good, it's worth actually engaging with, and then keeps that agent top of mind.
Right.
Another follow-up question here for you from producer David.
Oh, look at that little writing. That is a lost start.
That little pigeon writer.
Question for you, Jared. When you were selling beaded necklaces in 5th grade, did you include and or charge extra for shark's teeth?
So this was pre shark's teeth, but post puka. So we had the puka shell. We did get into puka shell, and unfortunately we held on to that for a little too long as people were transitioning to shark teeth. So
it is hard to ride that wave, the shark's teeth puka shell wave.
When the materials you use are items that come from the sea, you never know what's going to wash up.
Well, and puka shells, I think you're probably better set in the South Pacific to pick up puka shells than you are the Gulf of Mexico, where the Gulf of Mexico shark's teeth are ever present, right? What I mean?
That was back in the day when like sustainable, farm to table wasn't as big of a thing. So
and missing that wave also, because the puka shell necklace wave, I mean, if you were a guy and you wore puka shells, that read, "I'm sensitive, girls, tell me your fears, your dreams, your aspirations." Whereas once we went to the Shark Tank, that's like the same thing as getting the barbed wire tattoo. It's I'm tough, I've got toxic masculinity.
But I am curious,
bring it on.
There were way more words on that message than what you just asked. So
I've got more questions.
Oh, there was multiple questions.
Right.
Okay.
But you didn't answer the original question. You did change it a bit, which I'm good with. But did you charge extra for the puka shells than you did for a standard?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, I was in business. This wasn't a nonprofit. I wasn't trying to like make people aware of shark's teeth. If we use products that cost more, we charge more, of course.
Well, I saved this one because it has a star next to it. I didn't want to I wanted to warm you up a bit. You can see the star.
Yep.
It says, how is the dog owner dating app from your featured episode of Out to Lunch doing, Jared? Just curious on that.
The headline that whoever's doing the fine craftsmanship of Googling as we speak is pretty incredible. To do that and have these little pigeon hands that they can write the pigeon notes is really impressive. That headline is very misleading. I think there's a comma missing there because the dog dating app was another guest on the show. That was not me. So it was dog dating app, comma, newsletters, not dog dating app newsletters. So I'm going to have to, though I will say that's a young lady in the New Orleans market that created that app. And I just heard she has a cat dating app as well that just got featured on Shark Tank.
And it's for cats to date other cats, not cat owners dating other cat owners.
No, it's that. You're right. I just saw that.
DVD.
That was literally last Friday's episode. It was for cat people dating other cat people.
Yep, other cat people.
And Jared, it sounds like you may have
okay, well.
Can you say cat people in 2021? I don't know if that's can we edit that out? If not.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Producer David will do a full search on the whether that's.
You may be referring to the little known subsection of the population that was actually raised by cats. And so they're actually, actually cat people. So I mean, if you were talking about someone who just likes cats, that would be different. Right. But if you were raised by cats. Okay.
Well, and that's as opposed to mouse people, who are literally people who like to dress up as mice and nibble cheese. And that's a social activity.
And I have one more question from producer David Inman, and that has to do with, it's a follow-up on the pigeon front, but do you find that there are geographic limitations to your distribution through pigeons that wouldn't be as true, with email, right? So like the Atlantic Ocean might be a longer flight.
We've set up a decentralized node network that allows for them to have drop-off points. So geographic limitations are not really existing. It's more of just a time to inbox that, if you will. So that's the only thing we have to consider.
So the PDN, the Pigeon Delivery Network, where in real time, boom, hits it. Okay, that's fair.
It's similar to Rasa. It's a mindset that you've got to, if you want your message delivered by a pigeon to the right person at the right time, then you have to take what comes with that, and that is not the fastest to inbox, if you will.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Makes sense. I can understand that. Makes a lot of sense. Very logical.
Jared, you have been a very patient guest. I may not have gotten a lot of sleep this weekend, and I think I may have turned my lack of sleep on you. And so you've been very patient. I appreciate.
I think you gifted that to us. If we're being honest, right? That was the gift to us and the listeners.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
So you've been a very patient guest. Do want to give you the chance to kind of have final word. I think you've earned it today. What should you leave us with?
What am I going to leave you with? I think that if you're folks that are out there that are emailing and you've been doing it for a very long time, just maybe stop and think that there's other ways to do it. You may be caught in your own little your own little echo chamber of this is how email is done. And so there's some newer ways to do it with technology you're familiar with. But it may be a little uncomfortable at first, but you may like the results. So.
And I'll have to check with the powers that be here at Email Geeks at Home drinking coffee. Chris, we can talk to the suits. How do you feel about Rasa and Jared featuring this particular episode of the show on the main front screen of the Rasa website?
This on the main site of the main website. You know, so I think you were saying that you've got to talk to the suits.
Yeah, we've got to talk to the suits.
I'd be curious to hear what they say. And
they're pretty rigid and they're pretty controlling of our content. And so I don't know what they're going to say.
I'd let the AI figure that out. We'd let the AI tell us if that's going to happen or not.
That makes sense.
Because I think it would, possibly 10x the volume of traffic to your site. Now, it may not be desirable traffic, but it's traffic.
I would need to check with the PDN we currently use.
If they could handle that kind of volume. Because if people all of a sudden start signing up for the Pigeon, the Pigeon newsletter, and all of a sudden we bring that much traffic in, that could have a pretty substantial impact on you.
You may see a perfect storm.
Out there, but corralling them into one place is tough. So it's not like something we can scale up at a moment's notice. We need
we don't want that chicken coop crashing and burning.
Right.
What about like a popover, like a takeover of your whole website? So instead of embedded in, now they don't even see anything, Rasa. It's just this particular episode.
I need to talk to the web folks. I would only be okay with that if that message like kind of flew in with like a pigeon, like a pigeon is bringing it on the screen. So whether it's a message or just like a plot right there on the screen, who knows?
So I'll just leave you with this, Jared. I talked about the pigeons that I raised growing up.
Oh, I didn't realize you raised fancy pigeons.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't messing around with other birds. I raised the turtleneck pigeons. So
these are the dumbest looking birds I've ever seen.
All right.
Anyway,
what kind of nest they build. I want to know what that fancy pigeon's nest looks like.
Well, we'll have producer David do some research on that because he's always so good about following up on these type of assignments.
That's true. All right. Well, Jared, thanks again for being on the show. We really do appreciate it and being a good sport.
I'm glad to be here.
And good luck with the business.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Welcome back. We're back.
Yes.
Thanks, Jared, for the great episode.
A lot of fun.
Rasa for sharing them with us. It was really, really fun. Producer David Inman, tell us where you are today.
Oh, today I'm recording from my favorite local coffee shop. Probably something with like mean beans in the name, or better latte than never. You know the type.
Yeah, that's where you're recording from right now.
That's correct.
A whole latte love.
I got the whole place to myself. A whole latte love, exactly. That's the one.
I like better latte than never. That was a good one. Is there? Do you actually know of a hipster coffee joint called Better Latte Than Never?
I don't. I'd like to take credit for that, but I'm sure such a place exists.
Well,
I'm pretty sure it does. And if it doesn't, I feel like we have the next iteration of the mega corporation of email geeks at home drinking coffee, a whole better latte than never coffee shop for hipsters, And so, I think maybe we only start with, we make it exclusive and we only allow hipsters in. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, are there any hipsters in Chattanooga?
That's all we have here. All we have
okay.
here.
So sort of the
so,
hipster capital of Tennessee.
Chris, I know you have a hard stop here, so I want to get to the bread and butter. I believe you have a hard stop because you have a COVID test immediately following this.
I have to go drive to get a quick COVID test. This is
a
correct.
Quick one.
I don't believe I have the COVID, but doctor's orders.
Okay, so I wrote down before we started recording why I think you're getting a COVID test. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but if it is what I think it is, I'm excited for you.
Oh, well, okay. Hold on. So we want to give producer David the opportunity to write down what he thinks the reason is.
I'm going to make it on a bigger piece of paper, so people who have
this is
bad
very
eyes.
exciting. Yeah,
Oh,
neither
I know,
of you
it's
are going to
weird.
get it.
You don't think we'll get it?
No, we'd not. I mean, no, there's no way you could get it. I would be stunned.
And if
I kind of feel like a pariah, though. Even getting ordered to get the COVID test, I kind of feel like suddenly I'm a pariah, like Typhoid Mary.
It's a weird time, you know what I mean? And as we have this new variant, Omicron or whatever it's called, it's always a moving target. Okay, I'm ready, Chris.
And folks, I am vaxxed, double vaxxed. So just so
yeah,
I am vaxxed. I'm not here. I don't want to leave this up to.
Oh yeah, definitely show. Yeah.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Is there a I'm looking for a social security number or something on there. I don't know.
There's nothing that you can use to
okay. Well,
the COVID vax.
All right, Chris, are you ready? David,
Yes,
are you ready?
I am ready.
Ready.
Okay. So on the count of three, I guess we show our signs.
Good.
Okay.
Feels like Jeopardy a little bit.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Flying to Ukraine tomorrow. They're both wrong. Paul.
Oh!
Paul, you have misunderstood. My presentation at the Inbox Expo Valencia is virtual.
Oh, got it. I was hoping, both for the sake of Andrew and Nellie Benar, who is a guest,
Dear friends of ours, and he's been on the show.
Right. And also Inbox Expo. I was hoping both for their sake and for yours that you were in person, because I know the show that you can put together is spectacular. And I know email marketers need to see that.
Well, thank you. And they will see it. I just won't be there live. It's too close to Christmas for me to track to, I'd rather be home. As I said to somebody yesterday, it's one of the few times of the year it's nice to be in Chicago because it is cold and it feels Christmassy, even though it won't snow here until April and then it'll snow through May. But no, the reason I'm getting the COVID test is because a week ago I got a sinus infection, and I talked to my doctor, said, give me a prescription. He gave me a prescription for antibiotics. Today it ran out, and I called him back and said, I don't think it's knocked completely out of my system. And he said, it should have been. We need to make sure that it isn't the COVID. So I'll refill your prescription, but you need to go get the COVID test. Okay. So
that is,
I told you you'd never get it because you would have had to know I had a sinus infection and that it didn't go away. So it's a profile in courage that I'm actually on air with you today when I have the sinus infection. I
was hoping that it was, honestly, once I saw David's sign about flying to the Ukraine tomorrow, I was hoping that it was not that, because I'm assuming that has to do with going to the gulag. You know what I mean? Like deportation, whatever it is, where they send you back to the gulag.
Yeah, but the gulags were actually located in Siberia in far western Russia, not in Ukraine ever in any way, shape, or form. But actually, a good guess would have been, and you both botched it, a good guess would have been, because I'm flying the Email Insider Summit on Sunday. That would have been a good guess.
That would have been a good guess.
That would have been a really good guess.
That would have been a fantastic guess, but it was not my guess.
I'm doing it. But of course, if I test positive, I won't go. I can't go.
Well,
So
and I had one of those experiences too. Like everyone has a cold right now. Everyone's carrying that nose
yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
And it's scary, right? Because hey, I'm about to go to an event, and what happens if I pop positive? Because I've got this little nose sniffle thing.
Right. Well, I'm just doing it because I don't have it. And if it went, by the time this airs, the summit will have ended. And if you saw me there, you'll know how it turned out.
Right.
And if you didn't see me there, you'll know how it turned out. But I've got all my home testing tools here, like blood oxygen, and temperature, and both of these are normal. So I'm merely doing it because my doctor sort of gave me a or else get tested, or else I won't extend the prescription. And I want the prescription extended because it's not the first time I've had to take 2 rounds of antibiotics. I am the sinus congestion champ. So if you're out there from a sinus congestion remedy company,
we're looking for sponsors.
I'm your spokesperson. I'll push your product on the program.
Right.
And so we'll go from there. So yeah, we're gonna give you another show before Christmas because we've got some weeks to pull it together. Maybe it'll be Santa, and I'll know David will want to be in a suitably Christmas-oriented environment, which he isn't today. So there's no real holiday vibe that we're giving off. So I think it would be a shame if this was our final show.
Get some hot cocoa, some marshmallows, some candy canes. Get Santa. Honestly, get him some of that hard eggnog and get him talking. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Santa, who has been naughty this year? Who has been nice for real?
If we could get that out of him, that would be information that we could probably leverage.
Right. I think they call it compromat, Chris. And if we could get compromat on Santa, imagine how many presents we could get.
And you know what? I'll be the first to tell you, I like presents.
I do. Yeah, right. Of course you do. We all do, Chris. And Santa's the gateway. You know what I mean? Santa's the gateway.
He is the gateway. So have I ever shown off on the program my new shirts? Did I do that in a previous?
I don't think you did. I think I would have remembered that, Chris, without question.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here's an example of our new product.
Oh, that's nice. I would think
that?
That would be something you would ship to your co-host straight away.
I've been considering it. And here's the back.
Oh, we make great connections. You spelled connections wrong.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. But yeah, see, get it? Email connect.
Yep.
We make great connections.
I like it, Chris. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's like it's like the double entendre. We make great connections. I toyed with we make great connections versus we have great connections.
Yeah, I think you made the right call. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think the kids would have probably rebelled if you had said we have great connections.
Producer David, do you want to weigh in on that one?
I think you made the right call. You got the point across.
Oh, okay. Good. Now, let me ask you something. It is the holiday season, folks.
It is the holiday
season. We're past Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We're at the waning end of Hanukkah. And then we'll have a few weeks and then it'll be Christmas and New Year's. In regards to your dachshunds, producer David, do they know it's Christmas?
Yeah, do they know, Chris, David?
I like to think that they're just as much in the holiday spirit as their parents. But I can't say definitively. If I could think of some sort of experiment where I could use one of them as a control group and the other as too late for that. But I don't know. Now that you ask me that, I'd like to know definitively.
Yeah, I feel like there's a scientific test that we put one in one room, feed them nothing but candy canes.
Well, if a dog knew it's Christmas, how would it? What would it do differently? What would it be? Right. Would it be better behaved in hopes of getting better presents? And can that be measured?
I think that's probably the best litmus for whether or not they know what's going on. The changes in behavior.
Well, why don't you start to track? And we can talk about this in this next program. And I know our friends at home are already rolling their eyes and going, he never does any assignment they give him. He'll do assignments, but only if he comes up on his own. But why don't you start tracking the incidences of their
Infinite
naughty
tease.
behavior and see if it decreases the closer we get to Christmas, whether it's chewing on your slippers or having an accident in the house, God forbid.
Well, I think, Chris, I think we may even need to be more direct with these dachshunds. You know what I mean? So I would say separate them into separate rooms and have one room completely full of Santa, pictures of Santa, statues of Santa, Santa everywhere. So all that little dachshund knows is naughty or nice, right? And I think it needs to be for an extended period of time. And then the other one, just like no furniture, no walls. I'm guessing like not much food. I mean, I don't know what you'd feed him. Gulag stuff, David, right? And then the other one gets candy canes and marshmallows. And then bring them back together and see what impact, you know, if you can tell which one was exposed to Santa more.
I think that can be arranged. How long should I make that last?
I'm looking at the date. Right now it's Friday, December 3rd. That would give us 22 days before this Christmas, but I'm thinking that may not be enough of a time period. And Chris, I want you to weigh in on this to really determine that. So we may want to do a full year and 22 days of dachshund separation.
And deprivation for the one in the room with no furniture. I mean, we might as well just put it into one of those tanks where, you know, all your senses are, you know, floating tanks where desensitized.
Right.
What are those called? What are they called?
Sensory deprivation tanks.
There we go. That's what I'm. Yeah. Thank you. You know
So,
what, folks? That wasn't rehearsed. He actually pulled that out of thin air.
Every once in a while, I'll get it right.
That's how smart Paul is, and my co-host Paul is. Now, were I to send you Email Connect garb,
yeah,
would you wear it? And would you wear it on the program?
Oh, you have no idea, Chris. I think the only challenge about me wearing it on the program would be I'd be wearing it so much other than the program, it would need to be clean for the show so that I would represent correctly. I mean, that would be my only concern is it all like, am I only wearing dirty clothes? Because I'm going to do that, right? If I got a shirt like that.
It'd be the coolest shirt. I mean, it would be probably one of the coolest shirts in Chattanooga.
Oh, it's flying off the shelves. You can't get them here right now. I mean, it's the hot item for Christmas this year. It's like the Tickle Me Elmo doll, right? Like you just can't get the Email Connect shirt retail because they're gone.
Well,
they're
if
gone.
I sent some to you and then it turns up on eBay, there's going to be hell to pay. Just so you know.
What I mean, you on the contrast. I got kids, man, and like, you know how much that would sell for on eBay.
If it shows up on the eBay.
Chris, I have so many of those fake shirts that say Email Connect up on Etsy. You know what I mean? I put them up there, handmade. I mean, it's you know, pen and ink. Like it looks terrible, absolutely horrendous. Yet people are buying them because they can't get them anywhere else. And so, I mean, would you blame me for trying to maximize my profits there if you were to send me one of those shirts?
I'm gonna have to think about that. I'll have to think about that.
I mean, I got to be honest. At the end of the day, it's all about my chicken. You know what I mean? You got to take care of your chicken, Chris.
Well, in that case, I've got to get to a COVID test.
Yeah.
Producer David probably needs to order some more coffee. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did. And I'm still drinking coffee, even though it's middle of the day.
Cheers.
Here.
Me too.
And we'll put on some sort of Christmas spectacular for you, even if it's a guest list podcast, just where we can get on and share a little bit of holiday cheer and some of the traditions in our own homes with our audience. Bonus episode.
Yeah.
Christmas traditions from the team. So we'll be on that. We'll be back on that, folks. And until the next time, enjoy the holiday season.
Thank you.